Today we are going to discuss about what is Web API in .NET. So in .NET, there are three things. So first thing is a front end. Here we will be having, for example, let's assume I have a Gmail email password, and here we will be having login. Let's assume I'll enter a Gmail username and password or email or password. I click on login. This is where user is interacting now. So the user interacting here. So he is the user. He is going to interact with this system. So this will call it as a front end. Front end UI, user interface. UX, user experience design. Okay. UI, user interface, or front end or presentation. So where user is going to interact, or for example, ATM, money withdrawal. So he is the user where we are going to interact with the front end. And we will be having a backend, nothing but a database. So here in this backend, how data is stored? There is a user table. Columns are like email, password, or email, password. For example, test at gmail.com, abc at 123, ram at yahoo.com, ram at 96. Something like this. Here we will be having the username and the password, where we will be having the user is nothing but a table, user table, where we will be having columns like email and password. So email column like this, username and password. So here how we are going to store the data. This is RDBMS database. RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. What is RDBMS? We'll see later. And in this RDBMS, we are going to store the data in the form of tables. Tables contains columns and rows. Email and password is the column. These are all the rows. There are two rows right now we have. This will call it as a backend. This is backend. So now how the application will have the interact. So from the front end, it has to interact with the back end. This is traditional way of implementation. Okay. First time, what we will do, first we need to create a table here in the database, and in the UI, we'll enter email and password. There is a save option for registration first time. So once user click on save, it is going to store into this table, which is user table. That is traditional way of implementation as usual. So now in this scenario, what we are doing now in this scenario, so we are going to bypass this, or we are going to add one extra layer in between. So that is nothing but a web API here. How it will work? Let's see now. This way. Okay. This way it is going to work. This way it is going to work. How this is for insertion. This is for, and there should be one more for retrieval. Okay. So these things we are going to eliminate now. Okay. So how we will eliminate? Like this. Like this. How this will happen? Like this. So what will happen now? Once we submit or send the data to API, send the data to API. This is while sending, and receive the data. This is while fetching, and this is while sending. And similarly, send data to DB database. Send data to database, and here from database. Receive data from database. Okay, this is how your application will going to interact. Now there is no interaction with the database. No need. Why means we'll tell you. Okay. So here we are going to add one extra layer. Will it be a burden to the application? No. It's going to have a very good advantages, very good features. We'll see what are those. Okay. So now in between the front end and back end, we have added one layer. This is called API. What is API stands for? Application Program Interface. Application Program Interface. So in Microsoft implemented this, we will call it as a web API. So since we are using for web applications, so not only web applications, but also for mobile applications, everywhere we are using this API. So in this API, application program interface, there will be having few things, few methods: get, post, put, delete, patch. So what is this? The name itself saying get to get the data, to retrieve the data. Correct? So get is used to retrieve or fetch the data. We will use a command called get. We will also call it as verbs. Okay? API verbs. Verbs, methods, okay, or attributes. Okay, get is used to fetch the data. Post to post the data. Usually for insert, put to update the data. Delete to delete or remove the data. Patch to do the partial update. So put to do entire record update. Patch, there is a only few columns we need to update. Or portion of the table we need to update. Okay, few columns only to update. Use a patch command. Okay. So there are two things, front end and back end. So earlier in traditional way, we are going to interact directly from the front end to back end. Now, when we have this API got introduced, okay, so there is no need of direct interaction with the back end directly. So how we are doing? We are doing based on the API. What is this API? API is a application program interface. Okay. How this will work? It will work a bridge between your front end and back end. So how it will work from the user, once he entered the email and password, once he click on this login button, it sends the data, which sends the application will send the data to API. Okay. That can be a get, post, put, delete, whatever it may be. So from this, based on the request, it will go to interact with the database. It will fetch, retrieve the data, whatever information we want, and will receive the response from the API. So since we are using these methods, what is, we'll call it as a either verbs, methods, or attributes. Get attribute. Why we need this? To get the data from the table. For example, your similarly like your select query. Post, similarly like your insert. Update, if you want to do, then do the put. Delete, and then patch for a partial update. For example, I want to update password only here. I don't want to update anything else. So we can go for a patch. Got it? So this is how API will work. Now, what is Web API? Web API is a RESTful service. Web API is a RESTful service. So let's see now how this Web API will work. So why we have to go for API? What is the purpose? Let's see now. For example, I have a network. Which network I have? I have a network called Airtel. Let's assume Airtel. I have Airtel. Okay. So if you want to recharge, right? I have many things. Airtel store. What they use? They use a web application. We can also use, right? So I can go and open one Airtel recharge. I can go here. I'll enter my mobile number. I can do the recharge. What is this web application? Okay, it's Airtel own web application. Okay, this is Airtel web application. So what else we have? I have Google Pay, right? Using Google Pay, I can do the recharge. Correct? Got it? Yes, I can do it. I'll use a Google Pay. So other user, I use Phone Pay. Other user, Paytm. Other user, recharge. Other user, bank app. From the bank app also you can do recharge, right? There are many ways, etc. So now the question is, this is our database, right? This is our Airtel database. Okay. So all the persons wants to do the recharge. Do you think, will you allow? So as a Airtel store, we will allow this is our application only. Others are not our applications. Do you think will it allow direct access to database? No, we can't because there is a chance of misusage, right? There are many things. Okay. So now this is web application. These are all mobile apps. There might be a desktop application, whatever it may be. So what Airtel will do, not only Airtel, any of the services. For example, you want to do the power bill, Bestcom, power bill you want to pay, you can pay GPay, PhonePay, Paytm, or Bestcom app. There are many ways. Or you want to do a fund transfer, you can use a bank or any wallets you can do. Okay. Not only recharge, but also fund transfer, banking, Bestcom, or water bill, property tax if you want to pay it. There are many things. Okay. Everything we can handle different ways. So how it is possible now? Before it was not possible. If we want to do recharge, we have to go a mobile shop. Then you have to pay the amount in the cash. They will, with the help of mobiles, they will recharge. Okay. And then stores were there. We used to implement using uh, web applications. So then mobile apps came, right? So now, since this is my application, I can directly give the access. Others are not my applications. I can't give direct access. What I can give. So this is how it will work. Here, we are going to use our API. So this API is going to interact how similarly like from the API. So from all these clients, it will request the data to the your API. Okay, it will request the data. From the API, it will go to interact with the Airtel database. Request. This is request and you will get the response. This is vice versa. Request you will pass, you will get the response. So this is API. So now what we will give? Airtel will implement just a API or credit app, right? How you are doing credit card payment. Okay. So everything will work same this way. Okay. So let's assume Airtel or BSNL or whatever it may be. It is going to implement a API. So all other web applications or mobile apps, everything, they will interact with this API. So what they give? Okay. So they have to give the API URL and request type, which is request type get, post, put, or delete. Okay. And sample data, what you should pass. Okay. For example, recharge. I want to do the recharge. Okay. So there will be one URL. And what is the request type? URL, request type, for example, post. And what is the sample data? We'll be passing some JSON format like mobile number, amount, what is the amount you need to recharge, and what is the region where you are, which state or which country, which state or which region. Okay. All those things you need. Based on that, it will do the recharge. So what you will enter? You will enter only these two, mobile number and amount. So based on your SIM network, okay, where you SIM register, for example, Karnataka SIM, okay, it will go region as Karnataka, like that. Okay, all those things you may not need to enter every time, but it will take automatically. Correct? Understood, guys. Any doubts here? This is why API is required. For example, if there is no API, Airtel, it has to interact with the database. This has to interact with the database. So, for example, 1 lakh clients will be there. At least 100 apps will be there for sure, right? For recharge application. 100 apps, you can't implement 100 databases or 100 connections. Okay. So, everything, it will be handled here itself. Okay. And then security token you need to pass. So once we register with Airtel, first, if in Google Pay, if I want to do the Airtel recharge or BSNL recharge, so there is a try network, right? So from there, we have to request them the credentials. Okay, if I want to interact with the Airtel, so we'll request a API credential. They will provide you URL, request sample data, and first we need to do the registration. Based on the registration, they will give you the security token to you. Every time you need to send this token along with your request, then only it will allow. All these parts we will implement as part of our application. Okay. See this. Okay. This is our database. Okay. So our application can be a desktop or web application or mobile app or any chat app. This is our API, right? So this is your client. This is your database. In between, your web API will work. So which can give you the data in the form of XML or JSON as a response. Okay. Here in web API, we'll use a protocol called HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is your database. This is your API. From the web browser, if you request, it will reach the API. From the API, it will go to database. From the database, once you receive the response to the API, from the API, you will receive the response at client. Okay. This is API. Either you can use a web application or a mobile app or a WinForm desktop application. Okay. It can be anything. Okay. So you will pass the HTTP request, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay. You will receive the data. If it is a web application, you will receive the data HTTP response as JSON, XML, or other format, whatever format you want. Or you are using a mobile app. So JSON is more preferable because JSON will be easy to read at the mobile interface. If you are using a desktop application, once you request, you will receive the response. Okay. So wherever from the web application you pass the request, or mobile app you pass the request, or WinForms application you pass the request, you will get the response. Right? That response can be a JSON or XML format. Client server. Okay. So what is REST API? So here you will be having the URL. It can be like this: service 123 This can be. And what is JSON data? JSON data looks like this. Survey ID. For example, your mobile application, mobile number, amount, the person name. Okay. Get, post, delete, put. These are all the verbs we have. Get is used to fetch the data. Post is used to insert the data. Put for the update. Delete to remove. So desktop, tab, laptop, mobile, okay, any devices you can go to interact with the API.
Thank you for watching.